Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And if you're watching this live, especially if you're watching this live, please tune in and please tell us where you're chiming in from. So before we do some other things, let's get to some, I'd say, morning vibe Monday business. So as always on Mondays, the morning vibe Monday today is sponsored by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions, one client at a time since 1999, buying, refinancing, or investing. Call them in Canada, 905-813-4354, US 904-586-5636. So they have been a Monday morning staple for a long time, a long time. So let's pull this back here. Let's go here. Our special friend is in the building, in the digital building, which is a beautiful thing. And I want to do something special. Let's do it right here, right now. And big announcement. The Morning Vibe is now right here, right now, broadcasting on Instagram. Yes, we are broadcasting live on the gram, as they say. So New Year coming up, but we already hit the new year ahead of time. So we're broadcasting on Instagram. So we're broadcasting on about 6 or 7 different platforms. I just want to give you the rundown. On Facebook, we're broadcasting on the Afro-Caribbean Business Network site. Also on the Dr. Vibe Show site on Facebook. We're also broadcasting on Ryan's LinkedIn site. We're also broadcasting on the Dr. Vibe Show X timeline. We're also broadcasting live on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube page. And we're also broadcasting on David Archer's Facebook page. And we're also broadcasting on now the Instagram page of the morning, not the morning vibe, the Dr. Vibe Show. So for those people who are watching on Instagram, we are probably only be able to broadcast for about an hour. So really the best way to catch the morning vibe is, well, I'm going to be biased, so I'm going to do it right now. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. And also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. To advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms I broadcast live on, email me, dr@thedrvibeshow.com. And also, finally, join the Morning Vibe Discord group. More and more unique content now is being put there. As I said, last week, we had Karen Nicole of the Energy Shack Juice Bar on, and she gave 4 tips about managing your eating habits over the holiday season. So those are now up in our Discord group. So email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. I'm going to ask a lot of our friends that are coming on the show now, hey, if they have any content they'd like to share specifically with our Discord group, and most of them I think will say yes, we'll put it in there. And also I'll post replays of past epic shows that we have. So it is December 18th. 1 week from today is a day that many people around the world celebrate Christmas time. So just to give you a little heads up, we will be doing a live show on Friday. We won't be doing a live show on the 25th, but the last Friday of the year, we will be doing a live show. So the only break we're going to be taking is on Christmas Day for live shows. So you got that? You got that? Fantastic. So what's everyone been up to? What's been going on in your world? Have Are you into the Christmas rush? Are you in the Christmas thing? I know some people don't celebrate Christmas. Hey, to each their own, no problem. We're all good with that. So let's see. It's a quiet morning so far. I think people are getting up late or not there yet, but that's okay. Oh, so we got some Facebook love from Tamara Houston. Thank you, Tamara, for the Facebook love. And people are saying, where's Ryan? Where's Ryan? Okay, so Ryan is walking his, as he says, kiddos to school this morning. So he should be chiming in around 9:30. But I said, should I wait till 9:30 to start broadcasting on Instagram? I said, no, let's do it right at the front end. And that's it. So I think, we love having all our friends on, and this gentleman also, David Archer, because people always are engaged when he's watching what's good for us from a anti-racist psychotherapist lens. So you know what? Are you ready, David? Are you ready? He nodded his head. So, like, there's a song by a group called Van Halen, Right Here, Right Now. David Archer is with us right here, right now. What's going on, David Archer?
Many blessings. How's everyone
Good
going?
stuff.
What's
I am
good
blessed.
in your neighborhood?
I'm blessed, highly favored, magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem, Black Alicious. How about you?
Well, I'm blessed and doing my best. Everything's good around here.
Aye. What has been going on in your world since we last spoke on a screen? We keep in contact digitally on the back end, but it seems that a number of things have been going on. Good things.
Yeah. So I'm going to be giving a presentation for the University of Michigan on MLK's birthday. And
nice.
It's an honor. I think that it's just, there's a lot of stresses, of course, in the political sphere and also socially. And I think that being invited as a keynote speaker for one of my heroes is really a blessing. And so I think that, I mean, I'm happy about it.
Are you? I don't know if you sounded, but.
Oh, well, okay. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and my son woke up at 4 a.m. So this is real life too. But at the same time, these are things that must be done. So I feel that to be called upon to a different country to be able to give this type of presentation is important. I also think that in that type of presentation, which is what I wanted to speak about today as well, is that there are ways how MLK has been remembered that kind of are very convenient for the social structure, but aren't super convenient for us, the people who are members of the public, the people who are going to, in a way, help to do things to realize the dream that he is trying to achieve. So, of course, I'm not the type of person that's going to be smiley and making all, I'm not an entertainer. My job also is not to bring hope. My job is just to eliminate the consequences of mental health suffering that have been imposed by racial trauma. So that's the way how I'm going to be, Dr. Bob. I got it.
Yeah, just be yourself.
I can only be me.
Just be your core. Let me ask a little backstory. How did this, and I'm going to I'll please say, speaking of, to me, it's an event. How did this event come across? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? We always look at the end story, but what did it take for this great event to happen?
Yeah, so it was, again, is that another thing I want to add is that I'm releasing my 5th book on the same date, which is Transforming Complex Trauma.
And what is this date? Next release date?
Is January 15th.
January 15th, next release date. Okay.
And so this came about because of the writings that I've done. I've also been doing some presentations. My book is a required reading in 2 universities that I know so far, but I've had
which
students
2?
From
no. We just which 2? Come on, let's give it up.
So the Cummings Graduate Institute is one of them that I went to give a speech to. And
where's that located, by the way?
With me in geography in the United States, can't really tell you, but I had a virtual talk with them. So they're
all right, no problem.
And then Antioch University, which again, it's that they have office
that's
in
California,
LA.
Is it not?
They have, it's there. Yeah. And they also have a base in like New York, but again, it's virtual. So, and American geography. So, but it's also that there have been students who've reached out to me from around the world. And some of them have said that they've learned about me through their classes. or they wanted to write their PhD and cite my work. So this is why I'm saying the platform that we have right now is something that is to be cherished. The ability for us to speak about these ideas can often reach further than an arm's length. And so in continuing my writing and doing my presentations, someone from the University of Michigan reached out, and well, it's Dr. Daisha Price. And we had some conversations about how we need to take the step moving from this colorblind way of looking at psychotherapy. And we not only need to just be an understanding about race and racism, but we have to have an anti-racist perspective in the way how we're doing our work. And again, this perspective is resonating with a lot in the United States. I have people reaching out this week. There are 2 people reaching out to me saying they'd like for me to be their supervisor in the Quebec area. So I also just want to let people, if there's anyone in your audience who is thinking of getting into psychotherapy, whether you're a Black person, whether you're a white person, whatever background, but if you want an anti-racist lens, then I'm just also offering over the holiday season some slots. If you want just like a 15-minute phone call, just to find out a little bit of information, some inspiration, just to make it so that I can give back to people who would be interested in just having like a 15-minute phone call to know, is this the path that would be helpful for them? So this is not for therapy. It's for a person who wants to be a therapist. Is if you're interested in just even asking a question, because I feel that I'm getting a lot. I'm overjoyed with what has happened with me. And so for the holiday season, I'm just opening up some slots that if you want a 15-minute phone call, we'll talk a little bit about how to stay inspired and how to maintain the awesome work of anti-racism in our psychotherapy.
Well, that's fantastic. I may book just a 15-minute check-in with you. Is that okay?
Of course. Of course.
Because I love how you are growing in a positive direction, but I want to just check in to make sure you're taking care of yourself and your son. Because things,
so you want an intervention?
No,
what is that? What the show is about?
I said,
come on, Dr. I know you're a doctor, but this is a little.
I said check in. I said check in, my brother. Good comeback. But you know what? It's important, and and David's contact information is on the screen, and I'm also going to share it to whatever platforms I can while we're watching this conversation. But it's especially important as Black men, and I think I have a feeling you'll agree with this, but I don't make assumptions that we check in with each other. Because, as I said, you're growing in a lot of ways in what you're doing and what you're sharing, but right now it's just you. And one of the things I'm speaking for in 2023 is that 2024, sorry, is you get a team. Because you're already doing one-to-many, but the many is growing. And the many, and the many, then, you're offering this one-on-one thing. I go, that's more time. Oh my gosh. And those things I am, because I even just on the back channel, I'm exposing David to other opportunities. And I say, yeah, that's great. But again, there's only one of him. Plus he has his son. And that's a lot of things. So that's one of the things I'm just speaking, that you'll get some help team-wise going forward in 2022, because even up to last night, I had an idea of something for you in 2023 that would give even more exposure in the US. Sure. And I'm still working on one person, at least 2 or 3 other people you want to meet, one lady in particular that you want to meet, that I'm emphatically trying to make this happen, hopefully over the holiday season while she's on her break education wise.
Yes, but just to know that for me, this is not seen as work. This is part of I feel that it's my life's calling. And so at the same time, while we do need to have those professional connections, we also need the public to become strong as well. So of course there's going to be, and definitely I'm not spending my whole day meeting with people. There's going to be a specific schedule that people are going to have to, of course, but it's really, but we do need to think of, especially in the mental health field, is I don't think that there's enough outreach to the public. So that's why clients will come to meet with me with misconceptions that are not their fault. And I think that we can do a better job in the mental health field of being able to speak the language of the public. And
Yes.
of course, but definitely I'm in agreement is that this is not something that I can do on my own. And that's why I like to have these types of presentations that, with us on the show, so that there's a possibility of being able to inspire someone else, whether they're a therapist or whether they're not, but just to put the seed into someone else's mind that it's possible for us to do a more humane form of psychotherapy, and one that is able to, potentially transform the entire field. And so I speak with much gratitude and also humbleness of saying that I'm going to be doing this presentation. And also I say it so that there are other Black men specifically that know that this is what we can do. I think that with entertainment, what has happened is that we get so many images that say that the Black man needs to be a rapper or a comedian or something like that. And we need to open up the space of knowing that even if you do those types of things, there's a depth that we are able to have in our art form that is able to be transformative. We need to move away from the superficial understanding of just doing things, just for fun. And we need to start to think about, how do we continue the dream of Martin Luther King? How do we continue the dream of Malcolm X? How do we continue the dream of Fred Hampton in ways that are consistent with us? Because not all of us can be amazing speech givers like them. Not all of us need to be out on the street protesting. But there's a way how we can create a synergy when we all have a similar way of looking at the perspective of change. And that's what I'm trying to engender through making this 5th book, Transforming Complex Trauma: Reflections on Anti-Racist Psychotherapy.
Okay, so a few things, and the family is starting to come in here. So as
Fantastic.
always, Dr. Tachi says good morning, and since
Good morning, Dr.
we had David here on the Morning Vibe, Dr. Tachi and David had a great conversation that I came on the tail end. I didn't even need to be there, but I came in on the tail end. They had a great conversation, and I know Dr. Tachi provided her lens on how, and so another great member of the Archer family, because I think the Archer family is growing there. So definitely. So Dr. Tachi, the host and producer of Mediascope, the livest online show about media, tech, and pop culture, on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Instagram Live, and then 6 p.m. on Wednesdays Eastern time on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms, and also the leader of Indie Soup Media, which is coming around the corner. So we're speaking, but our New Year's gift will have Indie Soup Media on board, live, ready to go. Also, Fitnance IQ Cam, otherwise known as KSF EYL RWFQ, is here. So she is here supporting, and that is great. So we have regular family that's here. Also, we are broadcasting on Instagram, family, and we got people from Instagram that are chiming in. So good morning, BBL TV, which is a Canadian-based network that deals with business and Black business in Canada. Welcome. And also Mr. Gospel Cafe. Thank you very much. Wayne Harris World has a question. And we already got, this is our first question on our Instagram feed. Says, I have a brother that has a BSW and bachelor sociology. Yeah,
Oh,
or
sociology.
sociology. Should he go for his MSW?
Well, I mean, I'm biased, right? This is what I do. So I'm going to say we need as much help as we can get. We need awesome people to do this type of work. So if there's an interest, because the work is also not for everyone, though. Let's also say that as well. We need more people, but just to know, although I may make it look easy or make it sound easy sometimes, it does take some work to be able to do this. It takes a dedication to being able to study about, human psychology. It takes a dedication to also be able to sit with other people who are experiencing suffering. But I will say I'm super biased. I have an MSW, I have an MFT, and I think this is an awesome way to be able to have a work that is fulfilling, and also fulfilling not only for the person who's doing it, but also for the general community. Because every time that I, like sociology, no disrespect to you sociologists out there, okay? But it's just, I feel that because I took a few elective courses in it, but I feel that I need that heart-to-heart talk is super important. For example, last week I was speaking with one of my clients who is a man, and we were talking about the difficulties that was experienced because there was a miscarriage in his family. And I spoke to him about how important it is that I, as a man, am speaking to you as a man, and that men don't always have spaces to be able to speak. Excuse me. They only always have spaces to be able to speak about these types of situations. And while having a sociological lens, if we're looking at the wider spectrum of things, that is helpful. I do think that we also need to think about how are we helping the people that are like in most need and have no one to speak to. So we need everyone to do it. I do think that there are people who are in professions that can also spread the lens of anti-racism, but I'd recommend an MSW only because this is something that can help a lot of people as well. I do think a lot of people can benefit from knowing that there is a therapist who's going to see them as a whole person.
Great answer. We'll have an offline conversation. I don't know if I want to get to those educational heights, but I'm going to have an offline conversation saying with who and what I am at this part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
How can I fit into that puzzle?
Mm-hmm. It's possible. There's room.
There's room for everybody. But I don't know if it's my ambition at this point in time to don't go study, but what are other things that I can do, especially from the Black male lens, to fit into that puzzle?
That's an offline comment. Yo, don't worry.
So when I'm booking, we're gonna roll the sleeves up a little bit and go in there with that. But I really, because I firm believe that there's many Black men that are screaming and nothing's coming out. And that conversation that you had with that gentleman, you provided him a safe and brave space.
Yes.
And a lot of times Black men, many a time, I think, Black men never get to have a safe and brave space.
Exactly. And that's why it's not just, and this is because I was at this crafts fair a few weeks ago for Librairie Racine. It's the only Black bookstore that I know of in Quebec. And so they had this event where they had people that were selling crafts, and I came with my book and my because my publication company is called Duppy Conqueror, and so Duppy Conqueror Publications.
Okay, so hold on. You got to stop. Hold on, stop. Where did you find them? I need to have them on the show. Just the name.
That's it. Yo, you know this. You're Jamaican, no?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I love the name. I love the name.
And for those who wait, can I share it on the screen? I don't know if I have it.
If you can.
Let me see if can I share this? Hold on, so that you can see it. It's just that I changed the original. Yeah, let me share this thing. The original name of. Okay, hold on. I have to click some boxes.
Yeah, so David's gonna share. So welcome, Jade. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're gonna put it up here. All right, add to stage. Here we go.
So you see it?
Duppy Conqueror.
Yeah. You got to remove that. Oh, there we go. It's all good. I can see it. There we go. I just had to enlarge my screen. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's perfect.
Yeah. So this is the for people that don't know. Some people might know. And maybe in the back of your consciousness you might know as well. Is that Bob Marley had a song called Duppy Conqueror.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just for people to know that in the Jamaican, I guess, the culture, the Duppy is going to be like negative energy. And the conqueror, of course, is someone who's going to overcome these types of adversities. And so it doesn't only have to be a spiritual entity that is the Duppy, but it's just the fact that Black people themselves are confronted with an unconscious energy that is towards us. And we need to find ways of being able to ward off the bad mind things, you know? And so this is the reason why I've originally the name of it was Each One Teach One Publications, and I love that one because that one rhymed and all that. But then I felt that I had to also just change up the name to modernize.
I love this.
You understand? Yo, you understand? Yo.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah. So
like,
so this is it. So then what happened was we were selling some books and people were coming up to us being like, oh wow, like you're reading about this or you're writing about this. I never knew this book, Anti-Racist Psychotherapy. I never knew it existed. And then another person came up to me and they said like, oh, I thought anti-racist psychotherapy was whenever you went to go and see a non-white therapist. I thought anyone could give anti-racist psychotherapy. And I had to explain to them the same thing that I'll explain to you, is that because we are trained at the same institutions, and also there are certain assumptions that come from the people who have the most power and privilege in our fields, even in sociology, even in the MSW, for example. If we think about Charles Darwin and we think about the theory of evolution, let's just say he wasn't anti-racist. Let's just say that, okay? And when we think about Carl Linnaeus, when we think about Johann Blumenbach, these are people who were able to create the different categorizations of saying who's a Caucasian, who's not a Caucasian, the 4 categories of who's black, white, yellow, and red. Okay, let's just say that these people were not anti-racist. However, many of the ways how we are learning about identity and about race and species is from these people who believe that black people were not evolved as much as white people, who believe that black people were lazy, animalistic, and all of these things. So it's for that reason why it's good for us to get the education so we're able to use our psychotherapies and able to do our practice. But it's not just about what's in our head, it's what's in our heart as well. So you can be a black therapist and use an anti-black psychotherapy if you're not careful. You can be a white therapist and you can use an anti-racist psychotherapy as well. So it's not just about the way how you look, but it's about what it is, as I said before, what is the purpose of why you sit in the room with your client.
All right. So just want to catch up here. A lot of people have chimed in as usual. So got Frequency Event Promotions, greetings and salutations. Welcome. JJ Mars, all the way from Colorado.
Much respect. International.
Big time. You're at least 2 to 3 hours behind. So it's either almost 6:30 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning. Please tell us. And hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing and listening to, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Frequency Event Promotion says, hi, Dr. Vibe and David, the voice Archer.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Opal Inspired. Follow her and her creations on her YouTube channel. Fitness IQ Cam loves the name of the book company. She goes, love it. She goes, yes.
Of course.
We already have hashtags out. Duppy Conqueror hashtag. Also, Dr. Ty says that is a great name. And Frequency Event Promotions goes, when David is on, I feel the energy to push more through the clutter of life. Continue to uplift David. That's a wonderful comment.
Thank you.
Also, Hayden Morrison, thanks for the explanation of Duppy Conqueror. Some may not fully grasp the impact power attached to the name.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. That's beautiful. And then also, it's 7:27 a.m. in Colorado, so we love it. Just let me switch up to the Instagram family. We've got Wayne Harris World says, Duppy Conqueror loves it. Good morning, Van Doc Slieger. Sorry, long time no chat. Dr. Tatch is also following on Instagram too, so you're on 2 platforms for her. And Roda Viva Restaurante, thanks for coming in. And Moses.Sun42, respect right back at you. So we got lots of things going on here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to get right into Martin Luther King, which David is going to be sharing about next month at the University of Michigan. Wow. That is a big thing. Well, maybe they'll win a national football championship by then. Who knows? But let's take a bit of a 90-second break, come back, and keep it locked and keep it up, family. We're loving it. See you in a moment.
You know, and that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm the I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. Now, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, you know, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room,
overly sexualized Black folks,
over like the twerkers and the, you know, just people that, you know, don't always represent the best of us. You know, the diversity. You know, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
really
Vibe
should.
he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. You know, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right, Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And I, in the green room while that was playing, David was smiling and nodding. Why were you smiling and nodding when that was playing?
You know why? You know why? You've asked me about this before.
No. I don't make assumptions, brother.
You know this. Oh. It's just that I think it's just like what they're saying is that I feel that there is like a big focus on what rappers are thinking. Like sometimes what will happen, and look, no disrespect, I'm not trying to, don't at me about this, but I think around the time when Donald Trump was running for president, they're asking people like Lil Wayne and like Ice Cube what they thought about politics. And it's so interesting how sometimes they'll ask like rappers or athletes as if they are the spokesperson for Black people, what their thoughts are. These people will be interviewed on like, you know, for the national, like, you know, national stage of like being like, what do you think? As if their opinion represents all of us. And what's fascinating is that that doesn't happen for any other race of people. So Malcolm X spoke about that. He spoke about the fact that you never see that, like, for example, that Yao Ming is going to be representing the Chinese perspective. Like that doesn't happen. That never happens. He may represent his perspective, but there's something fascinating that happens with us when certain people will curate and the social structure will select who it is that's speaking on behalf of all Black people. So me, myself, I'm not speaking on behalf of all Black people. I cannot, because we know that Black is, as I said, which was controversial, but I said that Black is fake. It's not a real thing. Because the thing is that I have people in my family that in Jamaica, we call them red. Okay. Is that their skin color is not.
Yes.
You understand? Yeah.
Yeah. So we get it. Yes.
Yeah, but, all right. So the thing is that it's a physical descriptor, but it's not a descriptor of your politics. Okay. So that's why it's super important for us to understand that there are ways that if you're not paying attention, you will see that it's possible for them to then say, if this Black person is saying it, it means all Black people are saying it. But the same thing doesn't happen for everyone else. I would much rather prefer that they say that MLK has the perspective of all Black people because he's there for the interest of all Black people, or even Malcolm X. However, in our current day and age, sometimes it's a little challenging to be able to see who has our best interest or the interest of what is Black rather than the interest of what is just green. Because some people are just in that's why
I think there's a future conversation topic of what is Black and what is green. I think I'm going to put that on my digital notebook right now.
That's what I'm saying. And so I think it's not that the activist needs to be impoverished while they're fighting for social justice. It's not that that I, as a psychotherapist, that I'm not going to charge my rate. But we also need to know that there are things that we can do that are for the culture or for the individual. It's very easy for us, as we are all socialized in the West, to fall into the idea that, you know, because on the American dollar bill it says "In God We Trust," so then we start to worship the money. We start to see that as the thing that we need to fight for. What I'm trying to say is that we need to recover, as Dr. Greg Carr, Africana Studies professor, great Jegna, master teacher, he often talks to us about recovering the momentum of memory. And because he's a historian, he knows that what we are experiencing today is not very unlike what we may have experienced in the past. And because I'm a trauma specialist, I need to consider the client's memory of what it is that happened to them so we can clear it out, heal from it, so we can have a better path moving forward in the future.
Okay, you know, I'm almost feeling, well, we'll get your talk coming up, but there's about 3 or 4 different conversation topics for future that have just come out of this, but people are, as always, are always responding here. So
yes,
let's see. JJ Mars, thank you, and hope you're going to subscribe to YouTube. As white media in America has always selected the most unqualified Black person to speak for Black people.
Yes, it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
And it's interesting because last campaign, Joe Biden had sat down with a one-on-one, and no disrespect, with Cardi B.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Right. So
that's exactly what I mean.
Hayden says rappers and athletes are used as part of the distraction for us.
Yes.
And it's all, and it's interesting. AC Nielsen, or the Nielsen Group, which is probably one of the most renowned opinion survey companies in America, recently in the last few years did surveys. What cultural group admires celebrities more than any other? The results, us. With there's something about the celebrity thing and people who look like us. Let me just see. Wayne Harris where goes, what does Ja Rule have to say about DEI?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And again, there are artists that have knowledge. Okay. There are not artists out there that if you speak to them like on a personal level, they're going to be able to tell you some knowledge, like Cardinal Official. Like if you speak to Immortal Technique, these are people that they're going to be able to give you some knowledge. They're going to be able to speak about some of these issues. So we don't want to paint the whole brush over all of the art, because again, I was in hip hop. I was an underground artist for 10 years as well. And I knew that my hip hop was very different from what was out there. And it was a conscious decision that I made all those years ago. So, but it's just what happens is that many of the times when they're speaking to the Cardi B's and they're speaking to the people that have the most influence now, a lot of the people who have the most influence now are so rich that they're not really in touch with the needs of the public. And so this is the reason why, as a person, my job is really to keep my ear on the street and to speak to the people that are impacted the worst by what the social structure gives to them. So the people that are traumatized the worst oftentimes are traumatized because of their identity, which is why you need to have an anti-racist perspective. They're traumatized because of their sexuality. So we need to be, again, allies of the LGBTQ. They're traumatized because of their religion, which is why, with what was going on in Israel right now, many of my Middle Eastern, Arab, Muslim clients, they were coming to me saying that, we need to talk about these things. And we need to be able to not assume that all Black people are going to have racial trauma. Not all Middle Eastern clients are going to be experiencing things on the same level, but at least to have our heart open to just knowing that we can have these conversations if necessary. We need a space to be able to have these heart-to-heart talks.
Excellent. And a lot of people are just catching up on the Instagram side. Good morning, Scotian with the potion. Moses.son42 says, I need to privately connect with you, doctor, and your distinguished guests. Well, email me or email us. Wayne Harris, KRS1. Yes. Exactly. And interesting. I saw a very interesting clip on the weekend. KRS1 was saying he got invited to, I think it was, I don't know, it was the Grammys or whatever music was, to celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And he said, no way was he going. He says, what happened to the other 49 years?
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
He's saying, "Oh, you invite me for the 50?" He says, "No way am I going to 50." He says, "You didn't they pay attention to me for 49 years, and all of a sudden you want to pay?" He said, "No way." I'm going to see if I can get that clip. It was a really serious clip. Really, really serious clip. Also want to say good morning to the Energy Shack Juice Bar. Welcome, 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 who gives great tips. Scotian with Depotion says, "God bless you and David. Grand rises to you both. Happy holidays to you and the loved ones." Thank you so much. And Moses.Son42 says, "The teacher, the great decision." All right. Let's get to MLK.
Sure, but
So
I think we've
whatever
been
you want to
speaking
talk about MLK, let's roll into that.
We've been speaking about him this whole time.
All right.
This is the thing, is that I look at our conversations as a circular. So I'm always talking about the issue. It's like my clients is that sometimes they'll come to me because they want to treat their anxiety. And then in one session, they're talking about stress at work. So they're still talking about the anxiety. And sometimes they'll talk about stress in the relationship. So they're still talking about that anxiety as well. I think we need to think about the interrelated aspects of things. And again, I'm still on MLK, but let me bring it back to ancient Kemet for a second. Let me bring it back, okay? So the word for work, or the word for love, is represented by the hieroglyph of a backhoe that you're tilling the field. So the word for love is going to represent work at the same time. In our culture, the word that we use for work usually has a negative connotation. And when we think about love, we're thinking about Hollywood love. Again, I don't watch movies. I'm not interested in a lot of pop culture stuff because there are too many messages. And as an anti-racist psychotherapist, I'm going to pick it apart. I'm not fun to watch a movie with because I'm going to be able to point out this guy's racist, this director is ridiculous, etc. So I don't watch that stuff. But we just need to know that the words that we are using in the English language are not always for our benefit. We are using a colonizer's language. Okay, let me just say that straight, is that if we're talking about decolonization in any realm or shape, we are using a language that was imposed on us because of violence. This is not the language that my ancestors were speaking, and this is not the language that most people need to speak, but because of the British Empire and the attacks that they did, this is why we speak this language. So we need to know that our words are limited. So let me bring it back now. I was listening to this talk that Martin Luther King did called "Where Do We Go From Here" in 1967. It was one of the last talks that he did. But it's very interesting because he was talking about, and again, I'm paraphrasing here. So he was talking about how if you look at the dictionary, you'll see that there are maybe 160 synonyms for the word black. And when you think of what black means, it oftentimes is going to mean something related to demons, evil, black male, blacklisted. These are usually negative things. And then when you look at the word white, you will see that there are like 130 synonyms or something like that, okay? But most times, the word white is going to have synonyms relating to purity, positivity, etc. So what he said is that we need to find out ways of making it so that in our school system, we are not reinforcing and teaching Black people that there are 160 reasons why they should believe the myth of inferiority of Blackness. And we need to teach the white students that why we shouldn't believe in these 130 synonyms for the myth of the superiority of whiteness. There is great power in the words that we use. We need to be conscious of the words that we are using, and we need to have that critical lens, not just on psychotherapy, not just on sociology, not just on English literature classes. But if we are really trying to think about how we can best make the society humane, we need to be willing to hold the mirror up to ourselves, regardless of your field, regardless if you're a rapper, if you're an actor, entertainer, academic, so-called professional. If you're any of those things, you need to have the courage to at least look at yourself. And this is what Martin Luther King I believe this is one of the things that he was trying to teach us. And in that speech, it was especially important for me when he was talking about the three evils. And the three evils are going to be racism, militarism, and extreme materialism.
Mhm.
So he said that, and because in his speech, I realized that is that the way how we remember him, we will only think of him of like, you know, on MLK Day, you'll see some people, some politicians that are racist that will say like, they'll like tweet something about Martin Luther King, and you're like, yo, but you don't like immigrants or black people. What's your problem? Or you'll see like a politician that will, like a liberal politician that will say, yeah, you know, like this about MLK. But then the liberal also, Martin Luther King had a lot of disdain for the liberal as well, because the liberal would always say something like, yeah, we need to have great change, but maybe in 10 years, or we need to make people free, but not in this election cycle. You know what I mean? So the basic idea that he was saying is that a lot of the problems of racism would be eliminated if we could have a universal basic income. If we can solve the problem of the economic violence that is towards Black people, then we will also reduce the domestic violence that takes place. Like, this is why, again, as a person, I spent a lot of years in school. I have 2 masters and a teaching certificate. I could teach English overseas now. So I've done all of these things, okay? But what I'm trying to say is, this is the basic idea that we need to learn, though, is that whenever we learn, oftentimes we put ourselves into silos, but we need cross-pollination. We need to think back to what the ancient Egyptians were doing. They were able to know that their science was related to their spirituality. They were able to know that their language was related to their science. And because we've been so separate, because we've taken on the lesson of Descartes, who's like, I think, therefore I am. Because we bought into this idea of the separation of mind and body, then we bought into the idea that our bodies don't matter. We bought into the ideas that what we think and what we believe is not as important as what other people want us to believe. And we bought into the idea that individual success is more important than the collective success. So all of this to say, MLK was not just anti-racist. He was also anti-colonialist. He was anti-war. This is why they didn't like him, and he was very unpopular around the time. And there's a lot of hypocrites out there who post and tweet about what he'd say, but really wouldn't like him if they were hearing what he was saying in the 60s. But we know also that he's anti-capitalist, because he knew that the economics was one of the things that was keeping down Black people the most. And when they used the boycotts, that was an economic intervention, and it was able to make it so that there were changes. So we need to remember him in a different way. And what I'm trying to do is just to help people to know that the spirit of Martin Luther King, that idea, it exists within us, but we need to honor him and remember him in the context that he found himself in. We need to be awesome trauma specialists, not only for the suffering that is in our mental health, but also in the way how we decolonize our memory relating to the people who did have the spirit of change, and know that the spirit of change is within us as well.
David, you are dropping knowledge bombs as usual. I'm just
Thank you.
Responding to a comment here, and a lot of people just stopping by on Instagram. So the Michelle Pascal from the US, a member of the Never Settle family under Mario Armstrong. Also, we have, well, Scotian with the Potion says MLK was a pawn and tried, but was too humble in those crazy times. What are your thoughts about that comment?
I didn't say that again.
He says, Scotian with the Potion on Instagram says MLK was a pawn and tried, but was too humble in those crazy times.
Okay. Well, I don't know what this person's talking about, so I can't speak specifically to what they're talking about. But what I'd say is listen to his speech. Listen to the same speech that Where Do We Go From Here in 1967. Listen to his speeches and when he's talking about the Vietnam War. Don't only take a tweet from a conservative politician who's they're only gonna say, I have a dream on MLK Day, then the next day say, this is why we need to incarcerate Black people. Like, come on. like what we need to do is just think about, like, listen to his speech, and you're going to hear that around nearing the end of his life, when he and Malcolm X actually had very similar perspectives. And I know, because we oftentimes will think, well, Malcolm X was the radical one and MLK was, and it's just that the non-violence that MLK was talking about was so threatening that he was assassinated. Okay, so the thing is that humble? Like, imagine that a person's like, yo, we got to be non-violent, and you're gonna say that, yo, he's like, so this is why I don't fully understand what they mean. Maybe they don't mean it in this way, but I just need to say that this is how strong his love was. This is how strong Malcolm X's love was. This is how strong they loved our people, is that people saw them as a threat. This is how much they cared for all of us. And so we need to think then that maybe the solution is about, and what he talks about is that there are too many people who separate power from love. And so the oppressor, to some degree, they have power, but there's no love, which is why they cause us harm. There are some people that have, like, this activist part of them, that they have love for our people, but they don't have power. So they end up burning out because they don't have enough support. So the only transformative way of being able to get us out of this mess is to have both. We need to have love that is also power at the same time. And what happens when we have a powerful love? What happens when we're able to know that the power comes from the community, the support, everyone who is in the background that you don't know about for MLK? What happens when we think about that love of making it beyond just the individual? I think it has the impact to cause the ripple effects to the point where we're talking about MLK today.
Okay. All right. So you have a lovely conversation going on Instagram. So, and Dr. Tachi has said, she goes, come on, Descartes. Descartes. Yeah. So you know what I'm actually thinking? Dr. Tachi, the next time that David is with us, which will be the end of January, when he comes back from his talk, Dr. Tachi, would you like to join me and Ryan, and we have a conversation with David? Because I know you really appreciate David when he comes on. And then Hayden goes, if anti-Black racism is eliminated, who would be most hurt, disadvantaged? Well, you have any thought on that?
Yeah. Well, let me explain it in this way, is that it may seem, because I'm an anti-racist psychotherapist, it may seem as if racism is the most important thing. And that's one of the difficulties of being an anti-racist, is that by virtue of me saying that we need to deal with this, I'm emphasizing the problem. But I'm going to be honest, is that racism, sexism, all of the heterosexism, these are just tools to make it so there are differences between people, of saying who is stronger than the other, who can exploit the power of others. And all of these are just tools of the economic system of capitalism. Capitalism is always racial. Capitalism is always going to say that there's a culture, there's a certain group of individuals who has more power than another person. So let's not get hung up on racism. As Martin Luther King was trying to say, is that we also need to solve the problem of militarism. Because as much as we can say that racism is a problem, which it is, poverty is terrible, and it's terrorizing every community in the United States and in Canada as well. And we don't talk about it. It's terrorizing the indigenous people. And also it's that the constant wars that we have towards other people, that our tax dollars are paying for, are also causing the poverty in other countries as well, and making it so that it's almost like the climate crises that we see as well are also caused by, the ideas that we need to dig out all of the resources out of our planet to make as much money as possible, reducing the lifespan, or trying to reduce the lifespan of the planet. The planet's going to outlive us at this rate. So we need to not only critique just racism, but also the economic system, because the economic system harms the greatest amount of people. But we also need to think then about the militarism as well, that the violence that our country has towards other countries, the enabling of violence that our country does for other countries, these things make it so that immigration, people are like, yo, my country is under attack, I'm going to come to your country. Then they come to this country. Then we say, why are you invading our country? They're like, yo, because you're attacking my country. And so then we mistreat them. based on racism and xenophobia. And so then the cycle continues. So this is why you can't just have an approach that's going to resolve the problems of anti-Black racism without also taking into account, how do we make it so that poverty is eliminated? How do we make it so that we are at peace, that we are not attacking other countries, that other countries are not attacking us? And how do we make it so that we all see ourselves as one collective family at the truest nature, not at a superficial level, but at the depth of knowing that it's not just mind, it's not just body, but it's the spirit of who we are able to be.
Got it. Fantastic. So I just want to give you some insight on interesting conversation going on Instagram between Scotian with the Potion and Dr. Tachi. So Scotian with the Potion says about Martin Luther King, he led people not to fight back and submit. He also says Malcolm X brought the reality. Dr. Tachi says, Dr. Dr_Tachi on Instagram says to Scotian with the Potion, I'm not sure that nonviolence is always submission. Sometimes it's a greater act of resistance. And Dr. Scotian with the Potion comes back and says, not in those times. It was a wrong approach. He had the right direction though.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I guess you're saying, look, everyone is entitled to their opinion. And actually, I'll just leave it at that. You're entitled to your opinion. But just know that you may not necessarily have read a lot about Martin Luther King. We need to just know that nonviolence, because what's interesting is in that same speech, he was talking about how the UAW was able to get General Motors to do something that they didn't want to do in terms of being able to, because the UAW strike, I think it was in the 1970s or around that time. But the UAW had one of the biggest general strikes in history. And what's fascinating is that the UAW did that this year. They did the same exact thing. Martin Luther King was talking about the same thing that we are experiencing today in his critique of racism, militarism. These are the same exact things that we were talking about today. He was critiquing like that we are a thing-oriented society rather than a person-oriented society. So what he is saying actually is timeless. Even this idea of power versus love, this is a timeless idea. When he's talking about nonviolence, we just need to know, for this person who is saying that that Martin Luther King had the wrong approach, which is hilarious to me, because I mean, we're going to celebrate his holiday. Like he's remembered through history. Nonviolence just means that rioting is not the solution on its own. We can't just say we're going to overthrow the government and fight with guns because the guns were outnumbered. You can't, that strategy of saying that you're just going to fight and through violence we're going to resolve these issues. We need to find out ways of being able to organize, is what he's saying. So I think we need to think deeply about the strength of community. And if it is that we are only going to use violence or anger as the driving force, again, this will just lead to burnout. It'll lead to seeing rage as a virtue. And to tell you the truth, if we look at it in those ways, you will only be able to get a small amount of support, because once that rage starts to dwindle, once that anger starts to fizzle out, then those allies will just be fair weather friends and they'll disappear. But we know that Martin Luther King, when he's speaking about nonviolence, he was talking about the strength of us being able to love and to organize. And this is why his message ripples. But everyone is entitled to their opinion. An opinion doesn't cost a thing. And sometimes it's as worth, it's free. It's completely free. So it doesn't cost anything. But what I do want to say, though, is that we need to really remember what he was saying and listen to his speech. And you will see that that level of nonviolence was more about having a focus that's not on anger, reactivity, but the long-lasting power that love can give for us as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's continue on. So JJ Mars says, many whites love to praise MLK since he's been dead, but when he was alive, he was well hated by most of the white establishment.
That's true, but also by Black people too. We need to remember that as well. There were a lot of Black elite who didn't like what he was saying.
Yep. Because it was rocking the status quo.
Yep. You know it.
Right. Dr. Chachi says she would love to. So family, that's one thing you have to look forward in 2024 first month. Dr. Chachi will be joining myself and Ryan. And Ryan said he couldn't make it now because the principal at his son's school wanted to talk to him about his son. So hopefully it's good conversation. So that's why Ryan is with us, right? So Dr. Chacho says it's interesting. We see non-melanated people going to Thailand, Mexico, etc. as expat, and no one accuses them of wrongdoing. In other words, they're doing the quote, right, unquote type of immigrant.
Yes, exactly.
And then also she says, David, what you're talking about is also what Bell Hooks outlines in Salvation, Black People in Love.
You got it. Yeah. Bell Hooks was also talking about this.
Yeah, and Bell Hooks wrote the reason many Black movements were not as effective was because they lacked a love ethic.
Exactly. And so when you listen to Martin Luther King, you realize that many people after him were echoing the things that he was saying, because there's nothing new that's under the sun. But Bell Hooks, of course, was a revolutionary feminist, and she was able to help to bring out the importance of the gender dynamics that exist. And at the same time, Martin Luther King also, like, these are people that took the nonviolence approach. And I think that the nonviolence approach is one that is strategic. I think that we need to, like he was talking about Black being beautiful in that same speech. And I think that if we take a violent approach, it's not necessarily going to lend us the same ideas that Martin Luther King was also trying to bring up. Because the one that says we need to love ourselves, Black is beautiful, these are very different from the one that says that we need to fight for our liberation. And because, like, the numbers, yeah, I think it's a short-sighted perspective to believe that we only need that. However, just know that, of course, in certain situations, he was rolling with people that were strapped as well. Like, it wasn't that they were just like getting beaten all the time. I know that this is why we have to study. We need to read our books, because or else it's going to be that we will misunderstand the whole context. But just know that Martin Luther King was well supported by the community. Just know as well as that a lot of the changes that have happened were not just because of the appearance of people, just because they're Black or just because they're white. We need to know that it takes all of us to get us out of this mess, because anti-racism is related to anti-colonialism, is related to anti-poverty, and there's a lot of poor white people in the United States as well.
And in Canada too.
And in Canada, that's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that people don't realize over the last number of years, 30, 40, 50 years ago, poverty looked like us.
Mm-hmm.
The face of poverty has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And the responses to it have changed. On our Saturday night conversation, primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala, that you hear more non-melanated people saying, "Don't take that. You're taking my job."
Yes. Like
it's their own, and they're feeling what a lot of us have gone through for hundreds of years. And they're saying, that's my job. Well, did you work hard to get it? No. Then if someone who doesn't look like you has done the work, why are you saying it's your job?
Yep.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, sir.
Sure. I have so much to say, so
I know, and it's beautiful. Like you're rocking the house as usual, and like on all these platforms. Two-part question. As much as you've read about Martin Luther King, how do you feel society? Actually, let me go with Martin Luther King. How do you feel he would respond to what's going on in today's Black environment?
So he'd be saying the same thing as he said back then, because some of the problems look new, but they've just been magnified. And so let me know, because you said in today's Black environment, can I ask, what do you mean specifically? And I'll see if I can answer it, because only he'll have the
earlier
best
on
answer.
The conversation, we talked about how certain organizations believe that, let's use a broad word, entertainers are the spokespeople for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that Nielsen survey saying that out of all groups of people, blacks emulate celebrities more than any other
Mm.
group.
Mhm.
What do you think he would say to that today?
So
And even probably more than back in his time, even more so now with the impact of media, social media, digital, etc.
sure. So I don't know what he would say, and so I can only say what I would say in this situation, is that there's a possibility that we can end up victim blaming, and we can say that Black people, why are you guys doing this? Black people should not, and I can come from a shame-based answer. But I also need to, because I'm also trained as a family therapist, we need to think about systems. I need to actually bring my shame-based answer to the system that creates it in this way. Is what is it that causes Black people to be thinking about celebrities in this way? Like what causes that? Is there a force that impacts Black people more
Media.
than other people? Exactly. So we need to bring our criticism towards that, because it's possible for us. It's kind of like this, is that so I've worked in the past with domestic violence survivors and also with abusers as well. If our approach towards resolving domestic violence is only towards the victims of it, I think the most efficient way is just to stop the abuser from causing the victim. This is the most efficient way. Instead of us being like, okay, woman, you got to do this. And there's men as well that are victimized. But if we're like, oh, woman, just do this, protect yourself, don't wear this, go outside with friends, blah, 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 blah. Yo, if we just say, okay, new rule, we're going to make it so that we have a society that is going to change the way how masculinity or change the way how power is seen as important. We're also going to reduce what is called precarious masculinity, where we saw the increase of domestic violence was in part due to men not having a lot of money. So if we have that economic thing handled, we are going to reduce certain forms of aggression and stress, where then people aren't going to have to take out their weakness on people who have less power. So what I'm trying to say is, instead of us only looking at the response that a victim has, because a Black person has there's no other choice they're going to have if all they're presented it with is one option. So we got to think, who is the person who is limiting their option? And then we need to bring that same energy to them.
Okay. How do you feel, maybe this, you have maybe more grasp of this, how do you feel today's Black environment would respond to Martin Luther King if he was alive today?
Well, the thing is, I believe it's kind of like this. Okay, this is a strange philosophical question, so I'm going to give a strange philosophical answer. And I say it's strange because it's unusual, and you'll see why with my answer. I believe that in this age, there are some Christians who might be listening to this, okay? If Jesus came back, okay, I don't know if people would actually believe him. And also, he wouldn't have like an Instagram following. Like, you know what I mean? He wouldn't have as many likes. He'd be walking on water and people would be like, yo, it's fake, it's AI generated. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel that. I feel that
it wouldn't have a lot of likes. That's true, though.
It's like pizza is more popular than kale. You know what I mean? It's like the thing that is healthiest for you is not always the thing that is always like brought out to the forefront. So this is the reason why we need to do our research. This is the reason why, like, I hope that explains the reason why I gave that as an answer.
Okay, good stuff. So Dr. Tachi says, yes, all of this is systemic. JJ Mars from Colorado, yes, Black people live vicariously through entertainers and athletes. He says, I mean, a lot of Black people, not all.
Sure.
And then Opal Inspire says, yes, excellent point. The aggressor also needs therapy also.
Yes. My therapy is called anti-racist because it's not only that it eliminates the mental health consequences for those experiencing racial trauma, but it has a way of being able to extract the racism from the white person as well. So I've had some clients and some therapists who, it takes a lot of courage for white people to do this though, but they would come to meet with me because they noticed that they were having racial reactions to their clients and to their consultees. This is the reason. So meaning that they were people who were supervisors, and then they would have other therapists in training, and they would meet with me because they realized that they had this issue with race towards certain types of therapists they were meeting with. So the same tools that we can use, or similar tools and similar, but like with certain adaptations, what I use to help people with the experiences of being victimized is what I use to help people to release the experience that that has caused them to become an oppressor as well. Because it's white people too that have been victimized by racism. In fact, I think white people were the first victims of the racism. We look at immigration quotas that used to be there in the early 20th century, and many of the people who today would be white were actually excluded from Canada and excluded from the United States. White people were the first victims of racism. And then after, when they were like, okay, this is who is qualified to live, and these are the people who should have power and privilege, then after, in order to justify colonization and racism, they had to expand it out. Because again, if all the white people who were oppressed were to be like, yo, this poverty thing sucks, this thing is not fun, and if all the black people who were like, yo, this racism thing is not fun, and if all of the people came together, we would realize that we outnumber the racists.
Good point. Good point. Good point.
Yo, so there's so much to say. There's so much to say here, because
you're a content creator's dream. You know that. You're a black. No, let me be more specific. You're a black content creator's dream. Let me be more specific. But you know what? I think we're gonna probably end it there. But let's get back. So,
can I talk about the book?
Absolutely.
Please
do.
Yeah. So the thing is that yeah, if you like these controversial topics, then you might be interested in this book. So let me share it on the screen.
Sure. See, David's fully there. He knows how to just come on and do his stuff. You would have enjoyed a lady that I interviewed on Dr. Boyce's platform last night, who is does homeschool teaching to the next level. She is, wow, she was next level. I think she's trained over 100,000 Black individuals.
Wow.
She's full throttle. But okay, let's bring up the new book.
Yeah, so Transforming Complex Trauma. Whoops, hold on 1 second. Whoa.
Your screen's got taken over. All right, wow.
Oh no. They found me. Okay, hold on a second. Let me share it again and not click anything on the screen.
Let me just
let me try it one more time.
Put you back up here. Okay, let's do it again as the Staple Singers' great song. There we go.
Yeah, it's because I was actually going to show my project that I'm working on, which is a self-care video course that I'm going to be releasing in the next month. So, but that's the next talk. That's the next talk. We'll talk about that.
January.
Yes. But this book is called Transforming Complex Trauma, Reflections on Anti-Racist Psychotherapy. Again, if you enjoyed what I was speaking about today, it's that I wanted to make a book that would help people to digest the theories that are in my previous book, and to make it so that we can look at mental health, the healing of mental health, as being a revolutionary act. And that it's not only just for Black therapists, not only just for anti-racist therapists of all races and backgrounds, but for revolutionary therapists. And the way how I describe a revolutionary therapist is someone who's looking for transformative change, someone who wants to find out, how do we make it so that we are fully aware of the context we find ourselves in, but also knowing the tools to help people to get them out of that context. So there are clients that meet me, and I'm in Montreal. People meet me from all backgrounds, identities. And I found out that when we use an approach that's meant to treat the mental health consequences of racial trauma, we are also helping them to remove the consequences of the internalization of poverty, the consequences of the internalization of Orientalism, heterosexism, etc. And so keeping it in line with Martin Luther King's idea that we have to deal with the triplets of racism, materialism, and militancy, we also need to find out ways that we can heal the whole person, keeping in mind the mind of the client, the body of the client, but also the spirit of change that makes it so that they meet with us in the first place. And this is the work that I want to share with the world.
When is the book out?
Martin Luther King Day.
Wonderful. Excellent. Excellent.
You'll be able to,
Fantastic.
yeah, if you want to support billionaires on Amazon, you can buy it on Amazon. If you don't, then go to your Black bookstore and ask for the book on January 15th, 2024. And if you
Wonderful.
want to support, like, you can go to any library and ask them about my work, because if you're able to do it, you can help to inspire someone else. And there are listeners here who might, there's a person in Colorado. I've never been to Colorado, but again, if you're able to ask for the book there and make that book available there, then it'll make it so that other people are exposed to ideas they otherwise wouldn't be in contact with. So that is my next project. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. So a few, now David just clicked himself out, which I don't know why he did that, but I think he's having too much fun. So there's some contact information for David. I don't know. Oh, he's back. All right.
I pressed the wrong button.
That's all right. You're allowed to. You're allowed to do that. Your family.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So some more comments here. Wayne Harris says the masses outnumber the classes by 9-1. And also, this came up here. Dr. Taji says, yes, the KRS-One clip was excellent, but as usual, there were some enslaved minds in the comments. That's beautiful. There is a question too. Oh, so Frequency Event Promotion says, curious, what is David? David, curious, what are you demanding from 2024?
What am I demanding?
Yes, you yourself.
Oh, well, I need to go into the spiritual realm for that. And just to say that I think that what it is that I need to have is already granted towards me. I think we need to also speak about gratitude as well. What I'm not really demanding, but aligning my energy towards is that my home will be a place that is cozy, warm, and welcoming, that my family is safe and secure, and also that I'm blessed and doing my best.
Couldn't have said it better. Well, my brother, thanks for dropping the knowledge bombs as usual. Do you have any plans over the quote holiday season, unquote?
Yeah, well, I mean, my plans are going to be very simple. Is that I'm going to, as best as I can, prepare this presentation. So that's what I'm going to have to do. And apart from that is really just to, like, because now my son, he's going to be 17 months at the end of this month. And so now, because last winter he didn't have the frontal lobe capacity in his brain to understand what the heck was going on. He's like, there's snow, but it's cold, I don't like it. So I'm going to try to make him, we'll see if we could play in the snow. We'll see how winter is going to be this time around. But I'd like to take him to like a park. And really, that's as simple as it gets. I'd like to, because I remember when I was younger, there'd be like snow tunnels and all of that stuff. So I'm going to relive my childhood vicariously through my son.
Excellent. Good stuff. So a few last comments here. Frequency says, sorry for the typo, didn't have my ginger tea yet. You're allowed, no problem. Yeah. Dr. Tachi says, as usual, this was great.
Thank you.
Elemental Notes, how you doing? Good morning, everyone. Dave, great work. Thank you for continuing to enlighten the community. Stay vibrant.
Thank you.
Dr. Tachi from Fort Lauderdale, Florida says, enjoy winter.
Oh, yes, that's true. That is true.
Well,
you have no choice.
Dr. Tachi knows what it's like. Even though she's in Fort Lauderdale, she took her undergrad at the University of Buffalo. So, Dr. Tachi, I don't mind. You survived Buffalo winters, which are much more aggressive than Toronto, and even I think a lot more aggressive than the Montreal winters. So I believe that's a comment. So, David, as always, thank you for helping the Morning Vibe take it to the next level in the new in this year and continuing it in the new year. We will definitely be talking before this year is out because there's other things I'm suggesting that you pursue. And nothing else. That's it. And most only blessings to your son.
Thank you. And many blessings.
Is his health better now?
Oh yes, he's fantastic. He's He's doing much better. And it's us as parents. For him, he's like, whatever. And for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna be okay? So we're doing much better.
Good.
He's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Many blessings to you and your audience. And
no, right back at you. Make sure you just don't manage your time, manage your energy, and make sure you give yourself grace. Frequency Event Promotion says, big up David Archer.
Right.
Absolutely. Frequency Event Promotion says, great show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we will be in touch, especially if you stay on after we've done. All right. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith.
Peace.
Good stuff. All right, everybody. That is Mr. David Archer. Absolutely. And there's his contact information there. Let me just put up some other things here. So comments. Wayne Harris says, happy holidays to you all. See you the first Friday of 2024, which will be January 5th. Wayne Harris will be back. First Fridays with Wayne Harris. No, Financial First Fridays with Wayne Harris. Sorry about that. So that is good. Opal Inspired, great show, fantastic. All right, so we wanted to do something today, and it ain't gonna happen. But Sophia says David is great on the show. Absolutely, Sophia. Hope all is well in Ottawa. There was something I was wanting to do, but it isn't going to happen because he isn't here. But today is my co-host Ryan Knight's birthday. So if you are following Ryan on any platform, please wish him a happy birthday. Wanted to do that today with him coming on live, but he couldn't make it today. So let's wish Ryan Knight a very tenuous heart worker for improving Black Canadians, but Blacks all around the world. So happy birthday, Ryan. It is a pleasure and honor knowing and growing with you and supporting you, and you supporting me, and you supporting many others. Got some comments here. Oh yeah, got them all there. So I will chat with Ryan. I will say happy birthday to him from all of you all today. All right. You can watch replays of the Morning Vibe Show at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and YouTube, Ryan's YouTube and LinkedIn channel. So that is it. Friday, I don't know what we're having on Friday. Maybe I'll reach out to Dr. Tatch and see if she wants to come on to give a year-end review about media, tech, and pop culture, either this Friday or the following Friday. I'll see what she's available, and we'll certainly rock with that. So just, again, program alerts. You know what? Let me hold off the program alerts and do these final things. Make sure you subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on the Dr. Vibe Show or any of the platforms, email me, dr.vibe at thedrvibeshow.com. And then join the Morning Vibe Discord group where maybe I'll ask Dave to see if he wants to put anything in there for our family that it isn't accessible generally. We'll see. But email me, dr.vibe at thedrvibeshow.com. All right, let's see. One more comment. She will. So that means Dr. Tachi will wish Ryan a happy birthday. And Frequency Event Promotion says, happy birthday, Ryan Knight. Big up. Sophia says, happy birthday, Ryan. This is good. All right. I don't think we've got anything else we want to share today. But yes, that is it. So we'll see you on Friday or sometime in between. And this was the first broadcast of the Morning Vibe on Instagram. And it's still going on, which is wonderful. The whole bit. So another platform, that's another special thing. Now, personally, I'd rather have you guys watch via YouTube, but that's okay. Anywhere you can access it, we'll take it. So let's finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage energy. We'll see you on Friday. And if any of you want to come on Friday, message me. Would love to have you on. And we just like to do a jambalaya end of the year conversation. All right. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith. Walk good. We'll see you.